Good morning, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation tonight. My name is Anderson Dick. I'm the founder of FuelTech, and as you can notice by my accent, I'm from Brazil, and we're here today to actually have some conversations and explain a little about our wiring harnesses and about FuelTech, and actually have you guys answering questions and discussing about some of these topics. So I'll let Luis introduce some of the company, about himself.
Well, hey guys, my name is Luis. I'm technical director here at FuelTech USA. Some of you guys already know me. Sometimes racing a RVW car, sometimes going on the track helping people around. And FuelTech USA is the branch here in North America for FuelTech as overall brand, and Anderson as founder CEO of the company. We're here today together to show to you guys not just new products regarding the harness, but also some of the harness that we have and what is the reason behind of we having this particular harness, that particular harness, and also to listen to you guys, like what kind of different harness you guys looking for, what kind of difference that you guys may like to see on this thing, and try to have a better overview regarding harnesses on its own. I'm gonna start really quick, just showing something regarding harness. That's our website. Okay, just so since you guys watching live, this is something that you guys can easily go through and follow with us and see what we're seeing. So I'm gonna move this here, and as you guys can see, this is our website, right? So fueltech.net, right? If I click over here, you guys gonna see right there. Actually, you guys can see our brand new release, the FuelTech injector on the 320 pounds an hour version. But we're not here to talk about that. So let's go here to products and harnesses, right? Here, as you can see, there's like a huge diversity of a harness. The main ones that we can see here are complete harness, but as you go along, you're gonna see some adapters and also the blank harness for people that want to do an install from scratch. This whole section of harness, it's also divided with the specific one. So just adapters, just on terminator, and just complete harnesses. And we try to divide them not just by ECU, but what kind of usage. So as you guys can see, there's like here Pro 600, so for the FT 600 unit, V8, or Pro 550 V8. Similar application, V8 motors, but for the FT 600, FT 550. The same goes around if it's like for a 4-cylinder, 550, 450, 550 for a 6-cylinder, and so on. So it's pretty self-explanatory what kind of usage it is, what kind of ECU you need, and what is for. And also the add-ons. So the FT Spark 8 harness or secondary injector harness for a V8 when you're running 16 injectors at each time. Okay, let me go back to us.
Yeah, and one part of the talk is really we at FuelTech, we always try to be very close to the clients and understand and help make sure that the installation goes through as easy as possible. There are many places in the world that the installers or the person who is installing the harness prefers different strategies. So some people, they really prefer to go from a blank harness. That's the harness we call the unterminated blank harness. Luis actually can bring one.
Yes, let me grab one.
And that harness is actually pretty much a 10 feet or 20 feet lead wires. And those harnesses, they're very easy to wire when you actually prefer to crimp or to splice the wire by yourself and do really a custom harness on a car. One thing we always done in our ECUs is the wiring color codes are very easy to understand, because pretty much that harness is a FT600 harness, and the blue outputs, there are 16 blue outputs. They all are low side outputs, and they usually are set up to drive injector. But you also can drive like relays, solenoids, or pretty much anything else like that you need to drive from the ECU. And they are all numbered individually, so they are, even being all blues, you can actually see their numbers on a printing, on a fine printing, on the wiring harnesses. Then if you look on the other type of outputs, you have the gray outputs. Those gray outputs, they are actually usually defined for ignition coils or any kind of ignition box. So but they also can drive a relay or something like a solenoids. Then you have the yellow outputs. The yellow outputs are different because there are which is called push-pull outputs or half bridge. So they can actually supply 12 volts or ground differently than the other group of outputs. So this way, it makes really easy to splice or to decide what to do with your outputs and which ones to use. And then you have the other harness is pretty much inputs. So you have the predefined RPM, which is crank trigger and cam sync inputs. They are the shielded wires. So these are very, straightforward. Like they are shielded, and they have like specific for the VR or the Hall effect crank triggers. The black one is for the crank trigger, and the gray is for cam sync. Then you actually have all the inputs. They are all white wires. So in the 600, we have 20 white wires. They are all the same. They all are numbered and fine printing on the wiring harnesses. And this allows you pretty much to use any of the inputs, and on the software, you can actually set up whatever you have wired. So even if you have messed up on the wiring and you need to change something for fit your harness, or you change something around, or even if you have a cylinder that you actually reverse it to outputs, and doesn't matter, you can actually change that on the software very easily. This means that the harness, once you understand the principle of the blank harnesses, it even makes more easier to understand the principle of the ECU, which is pretty much like user definable inputs and outputs. So that is actually very helpful. If you understand that, you can lay over the harness a lot easier. Then if you go from the okay, yeah, that's exactly the screen. So even when you actually doing the wiring harness or the map on the ECU, you can actually see exactly the pinout they come off from each connector on the ECU. So it makes easier because it also tells you which output you have. For example, you have like all the blue number 5, blue number 14, all of them are listed here, but you also have the feature that harness actually is doing. So this really helps a lot on that aspect. Luis, you want to show some of the complete harnesses? I think Luis is freezing. Let me take over here. So then we have also, then the idea of having the blank harness is really if you need to do the idea of having the blank harness is if you really need to do a specific custom harness to your engine, and either if you prefer to do that, or if it's a very complex car or a very specific car. But after that, we actually have a very good way of then we actually have specific pre-made or complete harnesses that we've done for several applications. That's exactly what we gave a small overview already, but now we actually can show you some of those and so you can understand exactly why and how you can find the best harness to use in that application. Okay, you're back, Luis.
Yeah, I'm back. So just finishing what you were saying about the blank harnesses, as you guys can see, we try to not just color label. So each style or type of output has its own color code. So grays, blues, and yellows. But obviously, ground as black and power as red. You know, it's pretty simple to see it. The connectors that we use are really easy to work on. So like right now, you can see they are all connected. You can actually, with your fingers, sometimes you can unclick the lock and you can easily like remove a pin, right? I just took one out. If you're not using the wire, for example, to make your harness like look better, to put it back, it's pretty simple. And to lock it in is the same way. There's like some white locks you guys can see from both sides, and you can easily push them back and boom, it's lock it down. You can use the way it is. On the other side of the harness, since we're talking about the 600 harness, not just with the inputs, we also have the CAN network connectors. You can see our CAN is standard, like a microfit connector. Most of legacy stuff use this, but we all changing to newer Deutsch. But we also have both here, so you can connect to any FieldTech product or different networks to interact with different dashes or something like that. So the ECU can use different CAN on those two ports to communicate with different products. So not just FieldTech products. The 600 also has like a really cool deal where it can condition a strain gauge straight from the ECU. So if you have like a dog box style transmission, motorcycles, road racing, some drag racing with like H style or not necessarily H style, but it has like a strain gauge deal. The ECU can sense the strain gauge and do ignition cuts or something, so you can shift full throttle without using the clutch whatsoever. I was showing to you guys something when we lost, but like let me put it back here just so you guys can see it. On the software, it's really straightforward, right? So this is our outputs page. It's like you see the left, everything is color code, everything means something. So this is going to be sensors and calibration, and you can see all the outputs. You can change all the blues to whatever you want right here. You can have like a list of stuff. You just need to select. Grays, no different, right? But remember, they only low side. And yellows, then they can be low or high side, and you just need to express what you want on the feature itself. So right now I have like a MFI, mechanical fuel injector timer, and I would have to go to the feature to change if I want by power or by ground. Inputs ain't no different. So I have all my 20 inputs right here, and I can just go to number 8 and select something. I'm gonna go and put a generic output on number 8. Boom. So white, number 8, becomes a generic output trigger to make that output go on and off. Let me close this. But then this is blanks, right? So this is a build your own from scratch, custom made harness, custom fit harness, really specific installs, right? So I want to put on a one-of-a-kind vehicle, one-of-a-kind motorcycle, right? Really low, really old stuff from the 50s. I'm not using this specifically. Or another thing that's actually cool to mention, using the ECU as a standalone product. Like, for example, I was talking to a customer today that he was actually using FT550 just as a boost controller and a nitrous controller on a car that already is wired for all this stuff. So he wanted a quick solution to do boost management and nitrous management, the nitrous to spool the turbo on a car that was already running. So he ended up getting a blank harness, FT550, and he could fairly easy connect engine RPM, TPS position, two-step transbrake position, and then wire his outputs for the boost controller and the nitrous solenoids. Let me take this out of here. Blank harnesses.
And now bring the.
What do you want to talk now? Which one?
Bring the complete harnesses, which is one of the topics here, because one of the things actually we're releasing tonight is 2 new additions to our complete harnesses, and this is something we've been working very long time to try to listen what harnesses you guys looking for, or our clients are looking for to be a complete. And every time we see an application taking over and requiring more of that harness, that complete harness, we've been working on trying to design a harness that fit most of the applications. So usually the complete harnesses, they are made to fit majority, and usually we try to make sure it will be enough length to any application. So it may be a little extra on a few applications. Some people do like to shorten them up eventually in some specific, which is a good idea because it's very easier than really build from scratch, like from blank harness, especially on a complex harness. So the idea of the complete harness is really simplify the installer life. So you really need to, it's really easy. So you can actually start with something that you can connect on top of the engine. And some of the applications, they require absolutely nothing besides like connecting everything and connect to the battery. So this is the ideas. Some of the harness, they also are kind of universal. So we're going to talk a little bit about those universal complete harnesses. But tonight, one of the two harnesses that we are introducing, Luis is going to show right now.
So I think you spoke about something really important, like because this is the whole goal about the harness that we make. We are not trying to do a harness that will be the most perfect tight fit for that year model vehicle. Like that's not the goal. Like most the stuff that we always try to work on, it's extreme high performance race vehicles. It can be a motorcycle, it can be a car, it can be a Jeep, it can be like different vehicles, right? So this, for example, that I just have here, this is what we call the Pro Bike harness. As you guys can see, there is no brand, there is no specific model attached, but we did do mostly based on the Suzuki Hayabusa platform, because it's one of the most popular ones. The idea of this harness is to allow you to do an install with a FieldTech ECU on your motorcycle and go out racing pretty much on the same day. That's the goal, right? So the principle that we have on those harnesses are make the vehicle run really quick and be able to perform at the track with a product that you guys can easily get like a spare, or easily change 1, 2, 3 connectors to adapt to your specific sensor, to your specific build, to your specific add-on that you have, but not necessarily is going to be 100% plug and play, because it's not like a harness that built for a mass production vehicle. That's not the goal. The goal is a harness built to wire a race vehicle really quickly and make you able to start worrying about tuning the vehicle, running the vehicle, put on the dyno, go to the track and shake down and go racing. That's the goal. So as you guys can see, the Hayabusa harness, right? The Pro Bike harness has ignition driver plug, where you guys can plug a Spark Pro 4, so ready to go. Battery, power and ground cables straight to the battery, pretty simple. Then you're gonna have all the basic sensors: oil pressure sensor, fuel pressure sensor, your coils connectors, and again, Hayabusa style. You already have your relays pre-wired. You have ignition switch. You have like a 2-step clutch input, generic input. Like if you want to use like a nitro switch right here, ready to go. It's already wired. The ECU connector itself, O2 sensor, crank trigger, everything is pre-wired. So if we're talking about a motorcycle that's not specifically that one, yes, the crank trigger will be a different plug, but it's really simple to just cut that end off and wire that plug. And if you guys gonna use, I have a different pressure sensor brand, we're not against. You can use, our system is compatible with different sensors. So if you have a plug kit for the sensor, You can chop off what we have there, and you don't need to run wires through the sensor. It's there. Just finish that new connector and tell the ECU what kind of sensor you have, and you have it working. And that's the whole goal that we always try to keep in mind. There's so many good installers out there. Those are the guys that can get a blank, that can get a connector kit and make the perfect install if that's what you're looking for. But we all know that takes several days, may take you to take the vehicle to a different state, right? It may take you to have a wait line to have the vehicle wired up. This harness allows you to not go through all of that if that's not your goal. So this is not to replace a perfectly built custom harness by a professional installer. That's not the goal. We support several of those great customers, great dealers, great people. This is a different harness for someone that more likely want to do by themselves, right? Wants to have a great head start, maybe even done deal. And they can have that vehicle, that motorcycle, that pro mod, whatever it is, running on the same day and ready to go to the track, have some fun. So that is the goal. So as we were talking about this, the pro harness, this is the standard motorcycle pro harness, right? But if that bike has more features that you want to use, we also have an expansion harness for the motorcycles where you have extra relays, extra injector outputs, like you have a turbo motorcycle and you want to run more injectors, or you want to run more O2s, or you want to run more sensors, you want to run 3-stage of nitrous. This harness will have those pre-built here that will allow you, again, to wire everything the same day, to not spend 5 days, 2 weeks, a month or more to have your thing running. You can run on the same day. And if something happens, I blew up a tire, I lost control, the bike fell down, it scratched on the side, it hurt the harness. What am I going to do? If you have a custom harness, and again, I really enjoy custom harness. I even have one on my car. This allows you to just give us a call. Man, I need this harness. Can you overnight to me? We can overnight the harness to you, and you guys can fix the bike on the next day. So again, it's not what is best, but the difference between that kind of harness for each application, right? And just because we talk about motorcycles, one that I personally like, I think is really cool harness, really small harness actually, indeed. It's a small Honda motorcycle intended to be used on one of really popular pit bikes, the Honda Grom. Not just the Grom, but the Grom is a pretty popular one. So if you have like a Honda Grom that you use at the track as a pit bike, right? And we all like to, beef up our stuff. So like our golf cart, our pit bike, stuff like that. You can actually put FT450 ready to go, right? You remove the OEM ECU. Since you have like a pit bike, you're only using at the track, inside the track to go back and forth to the stuff. You remove the OEM ECU and you connect on the OEM harness and you just put the FT450 right there on the dash. Boom. Now you can put a camshaft on the thing. You can turbocharge. You can put like a shot of nitrous and something like that. And you can go to the track. And sometimes people do some cool races, about that stuff. Not just that. There are classes for this thing. And again, it's quick. Like this thing may be connected and have that bike running in like what, 15 minutes, 30 minutes? Like that's the whole goal. Be quick to install, and then you can waste your time, having fun at the thing.
Yeah, and then that's the Pro Bike harness is a good example of a harness that we made to fit most of the application, like Luis mentioned, and with minor changes, it can be definitely adapted to different bikes. Luis, do you have the universal 4-cylinder and 2-rotor harness? Yeah, perfect. So that I've seen a few guys asking about the rotaries, and personally, I don't know if you guys know, but I have a rotary, a 2-rotor in Brazil. Actually, it's a yellow 93 RX-7, which I'm personally I love, one of my preferred cars. And we've been working a lot on the rotary work, and this is one of the harness that we've done that actually it is intended to be a universal harness for a two-rotor or a four-cylinder car. It also definitely tried to fit any kind of front engine vehicle, but it also even fits some rear engine vehicles like some MR2s or other cars like that. It really depends on how where the ECU is located or the routing. This harness is also very popular, and the cost of the harness. Luis, help me. How much is that harness selling for?
1 second. So we talking about the
Universal.
450 universal, right?
Yep.
4-cylinder, $599 retail.
Yeah. So to have an idea, that harness was designed to be a very effective, price-effective harness, and also is very easy to really install. It even comes with like 3 relays, and this is also something that I think is cool to mention. These relays are something we really like to use. We actually sell them, and they actually have a clear case which allows us mechanically inspect the relay, but you also can see a LED inside when they turn on. So when they turn on an LED which is visually very clear to see the relay turning on, and also has the fuse incorporated on the same housing. So you ended up saving a lot of the wiring or connector, just because you don't need to really add another connector for the fuses. So this harness actually it is fitted for the FT450. I think Luis can show better than. Let me open up.
Yeah. So as Anderson was stating, this is like a 450 harness that was based off. Man, I really like this relays. They're nice and reliable. They have a fuse built in on the relay. So like you actually have a relay holder, right? You don't need no fuse holder. It's right on it. It's on the relay. And this thing has a built-in LED inside. So when you click this thing on, it came up with like a red LED on it. So like this makes so much simpler, so much easier. Like there's no external LED, there's no external fuse, everything is right there, and they can attach to each other. As you guys can see, can be like separate, or I can like slide them together and they become a group, right? I can bolt somewhere to the firewall of the car or the door, or like a door panel or something like that I want to have that thing. And then you see this one, it is intended to be pre-universal. The name says that. What we did, crank, you see, crank VR and crank Hall. The wires are right there, no plug. But then you just need to have what you have. So like, oh, I have a 93 ARC-7, it's one plug. I have a 2002 Jetta, it's a different plug. But like, it's ready. You just do a plug. You don't need to do the whole wiring all the way to the ECU. If it is a Hall-effect sensor, bring like a switched power. It's ready to go. He also has coils, so smart coils, right? To make it simple, instead of having like a dumb coils, smart coils. If you guys using a different smart coil, like a K20 style or something, again, it's already wired for the hardest one, because the big IGN1 coils, those have more wires. So we wire for that one, and it's one of the highest power rating for smart coil. So we actually advise to use on a high performance deal. But if you don't, I want to use a K20 coil, LS coil, there's no problem. Cut it off. The harness comes with a complete manual. And the manual will have everything that you need, including whatever is the pin out. For example, oh, I'm gonna cut this off. What does this mean? What this is? What you can see that, oh, this is switched power, this is chassis ground, this is battery ground, this is the activation from the ECU. Everything is pretty clear. It's not something that you're gonna need to pinpoint and try to figure out what it is. This is a main deal. This is a main deal. You have like a complete manual for the harness, like no guessing whatsoever. What is the sensor that is intended to be used, how to set up the sensor, like basic diagrams of the harness, what is where, this kind of stuff makes it easier to install at home, to install at the shop, to install on a situation that makes it simple. it has an external, extra connector for the extra outputs and inputs that are not hardwired to the harness. So, for example, I need to put a drive shaft sensor. It's pretty simple. You have the other side of the housing, the female housing, male pins. You put it in, pull your wire all the way to your drive shaft or your front wheel speed, and you're ready to go. It's fairly simple, right? So trying to do install that doesn't need to be that custom made, and you don't want to take that long to be done. Great option at really affordable price.
And that harness, it does connect to the TPS, the fuel pressure, oil pressure sensor, and does have some extra outputs and inputs, like Luis mentioned. And that is actually designed to fit the FT450. And just so you guys understand, the 450 and the 550, they share the same main connector. So the back of the ECUs on the 450 and the 550, they have the same A connector. It fits both. So if you started the race car life with 450, for example, and then you actually run out of inputs and outputs, you can easily upgrade to a FT550 and replace just adding a second connector. So everything that the difference between the 450 and the 550 is added to the second connector without changing anything on the first, the A connector. So for example, the 450 has 7 inputs, while the 550 has 14 inputs. So it double the amount of inputs. As the same as the outputs, the 450 has 10 outputs, while the 550 has 24, so more than double the outputs. It also adds a second CAN bus if you're running like a different network, and also adds the EGT. Sorry, not the EGT. It adds the string gauge reading controller on the 550. So if you have a car like a Honda with a dog box, or like Luis mentioned, a bike that you need a string gauge, the 550 or the 600 does include that already incorporated. So then the same way we have the universal 4-cylinder harness for the FT450. And if you have a 550, you can buy the expansion harness for the 550, which will add the second part of the harness into your car. So this is a very modular way that we design it, and it makes really easy that you can actually either expand your harness or already start with the FT550 harness.
You see how cool it is? Like I have all the 3 relays from the main harness for the 450, and then if I get the expansion for the 550, the relay just like slide together, and now I have all 4 together. So I'm adding a whole bunch of inputs and outputs by the 550 connector, right? The relay stay there, and if you put on the car, if you look on that thing, you're gonna think there's the same harness, and it's not. It's an expansion based on the 450 on this side, and you just like join them forces together. This thing goes together right here, and obviously because you have another connector, you're going to have more wire, and we're going to have an extra ground just to make sure, since there's several outputs that are ground out activated. So you want to make sure, right, that you have a proper ground. So we're going to add another ground to this side of the harness, and then you have a harness for your 550. Universal 4-cylinder for a 550. It adds you more injectors, right? So the standard EV1 connector, this is pretty standard, like the most popular connector. But again, you guys running a different injector that does not have the EV1, you already have your power, you already have your activation. Just cut it off, put your connector, or put an adapter on it. It is pretty simple. The harness is already wired for pick and hold drivers. Okay, so you can see the connector right here. That's a pick and hold driver. So low impedance injectors, anything that's below about 7 ohms, will require an external driver to run. But if you guys have high impedance, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 15 ohms, you don't need it. The ECU will drive the injectors. On that case, you do what we call like a driver loop, right? It plugs right here. It comes with the harness, and you're ready to go. So smart coils, high impedance injectors, FT450 or 550, one wideband nano or something. That's all that you need. You're manipulating fuel timing, data logging, dashboard, boost controller, traction control, whatever you think about it. And you can go down the track. You start, I don't know, Thursday night or something. Friday morning, you're already warming up the deal and you're hauling the car to the track. And Friday night, you can be on a test and tune session. That's the goal of this, being able to do something quick, and then you guys focus on tuning and making fast.
Yeah, and then with the universal 4-cylinder harness that also fits the 2-rotor, we have the universal 6-cylinder harness, which is very similar, but obviously it adds 2 more injectors on the FT450 version. So that's usually it fits really well a 2JZ engine, entry level 2JZ or RB26 or even a V6 engine, because the length or the injectors, they're actually spliced in the middle, so they don't go they don't have to go into only a inline 6 engine. It can go to a V6 engine. And then one of the harnesses we are introducing tonight is actually the expansion harness for the Universal 6. So that actually adds the capacity of running a FT550 with 12 injector on a 6-cylinder or a 3-rotor engine, using that, because it has all the outputs for the 6 coils, which is, for the 3-rotor or the 6-cylinder. And again, like Luis mentioned, you can modify the coils connector if you don't want to run a smart coil, if you prefer to run a specific coils or any kind of different deal.
Yeah, so just like I was just saying, like you say 6-cylinder over here, it reminds me 2JZ. Like there is no way it doesn't remind you of 2JZ. And we come from Brazil, right? And back in Brazil, we don't see many 2JZs. This is kind of a rare motor over there. We didn't have those being sold, right? So we don't see much. But we have like a bunch of inline 6s, GM, those old, I don't even know what is the name that most of the people call here, because it's such an old motor, the GM 250, 230, 292, that most of I don't know, like the mail truck or something like that used to use, or the base Nova model or something used to use. But back in Brazil, they haul, they are quick, big turbos, nitromethane, beautiful vehicles, most of them using still H pattern, stick shifting, really cool deal. And this is something that we built for that. Just like the universal 4-cylinder, we built a universal 6-cylinder. So you have 6 coil outputs, you have 6 injector outputs. Everything it's steered toward a 6-cylinder application. And this is one of the things that we're releasing today, right? So now we have an expansion for that. So if you have more powerful vehicle or more stuff going on, you have boost controller, you have nitrous to spool, you have more injectors to control. So, and by the way, really cool bag that the harness comes in. Really, I like it. The injector driver loop that we spoke about, it comes with the harness package, organized. If you're not going to use, save it, don't throw it away, you may use in the future. And here we have the harness. Same principle of the 450 universal, right? So this harness adds more outputs, add more inputs. It adds the whole 550 connector to it. So you can run more stuff without having to redo the whole thing, right? So you go over there again, right? For 450 connector, you make your 2JZ runs, good stuff, but you don't have, I don't know, we don't have a drive shaft sensor yet. I don't have a front wheel speed sensor. I'm going to do so no prep racing, right? It's tough to try to drive a car when they're making like 1,000+ horses, right? So I need more wheel speed sensors. I need ride height on the nose, because sometimes tries to pull a wheelie. Well, here it goes. You can update to a 550. You can just add this. You don't change anything on the vehicle. Everything stays the same. You just add the stuff that you need. You just add the stuff that you need. Set up your tune from a 450, translates 100% to a 550. You pick the same tune from a log that you ran, and you just click right ECU on your 550, and it's going to run exactly the same, plus everything else that you can add. So now you can put more shock sensors on the back. You can add your ride height on the front, drive shaft, turn on active traction control. Pretty badass feature, right, Anderson? I know that you play a lot with that.
And I was going to add something, since you're holding both A and B connector on the 550. Some people ask if, okay, what if I need to run an FT600? So the connectors, the family of connectors on the 550, they are both a 26 pin of the Tyco connector, and the 600X actually is the same family with the 34 pin. So it's pretty easy to unlock, pull the wires, and repin into the new housing for the 34 pin. So you can, that's mostly one of the easiest way of converting a car from a 550 to a 600 if you need even more inputs and outputs than a 550.
And honestly, I'm not sure if I know a connector that's easier to use than this one, but not just that, a safe plug, right? This thing grabs the pin. There's no problem about pushing out. It's really easy to crimp the pin into this thing if you need to add or remove a wire. So if you guys have a 450 or a 550, normally that's what happens, right? Like someone have a 450 upgrade to a 550 and may have someone from a 550 upgrading to a 600, because the 600 top of the line unit is gonna add a little bit more outputs, a little bit more inputs. It will add external shift light, really useful if you're doing road racing, manually shifting the car, right? Pro Mod and HRA, not long ago, it was mandatory for some races to manually shift it. It's hard, but that progressive shift light helps you a bunch. So like at that kind of vehicle, you always would see FT600 running. And he also has some like external LEDs on the corners. I have one right here. External LEDs on the corners. You see the shift light, progressive one. So external LEDs on the corners that you can put like a warning, like oil pressure, fuel pressure, something that happened. Or you can put like your blinkers. You can do something. You can program different stuff, you know. So like the 600 adds a bunch. And this connector is so simple to use. So you have everything wired on a 550. Don't need to redo everything. Again, the tune translates. Get your tune, read from your 550, connect your 600, right ECU, boom, good to go. Then wire, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes job tops. Just mark where you're pulling out, put on the right pin, and here you go, ready to roll.
Yeah, and the other part we are introducing, releasing tonight is the Sportsman harness, which is a very interesting harness, because we've been having a lot of sportsman racers for drag racing looking for a solution for data logging, for even if they run a carburetor, or if they don't even need to run an ignition control, the QTech actually can do a lot for them, because it does have a lot of features for bracket racing, for sportsman classes, that are mainly like data logging, transmission control, obviously the fuel injection control, ignition control, but also the delay features, like having like the timing control, or the delay box features. So classes that you are allowed to run that on bracket. So this harness was designed, and this is the second product release we're doing right now. And wait a few more, because we're actually giving you guys a gift for being watching this live today, because we're actually offering a special discount for everyone who's watching this to any of these harnesses. But we're getting there in a few. So Luis can actually explain a little more about the Sportsman harness.
So falling through the same deal, each harness has that idea, right, of making the install really easy, really simple. You guys are gonna see that all the basics they go through. So a connector harness will be for the injector, for the ECU is gonna be the same thing. It's just how it's gonna be pre-made, right? So the simpler the harness, the easier to install, the less stuff can drive or can run. Not telling the ECU to be stuck on that, is just that install that's easier. So the Sportsman harness carries through the same thing. We know the Sportsman, a group of people, most of the time they have a carburetor, they have a distributor. You can use a fuel tech ECU to improve your actual combination without having to change everything. You can use the same distributor, you can use the same ignition box, and just run through the ECU to now have proper timing control, timing management. If you run on a section body that allows you to run traction control, that can help you. If you run on a section body that does not, on a class that does not, we also have specific firmwares that will block and make the ECU legal to run on that class. So it's good to check, right? It's good to check where you're racing, what kind of class you're racing, to change the firmware on the ECU. But the ECU is the same. So if you change later, I'm gonna go to a heads-up race this weekend, you can easily change the firmware. Don't change your harness, don't change anything else. And now it's unlocked. You can do a time-based traction control, active traction control, and so on. So this particular harness, actually, it happens to be the LS harness. So this harness, it was built to be crazy quick install on an LS application. So as we were talking before, instead of having the IGM-1 smart coils, I have LS coils. This makes so much easier, right? So LS coils, 8 injectors, same principle. Relay, this badass relay. O2 sensor, crank trigger, the proper crank trigger for LS, cam sync, temperature, pressure, injector drivers. If you don't want to use a low impedance, you go into high impedance, the same thing. Put a driver loop right here, and you're ready to go. This harness was made to fit vehicles that were production based with LS engines. So like I have a race Camaro now, and it's a later generation one, came with LS. This harness will fit. You're gonna need to have a hole in the firewall. You will go through the firewall. You will install on every single sensor connector injector that came from the factory or upgraded for performance. And inside the car, you're gonna have your basic relays, your ECU control, so you can place where you want by your dash, by the driver door, like for your tuner to reach easier than the driver. It doesn't matter. Like this harness accept that, and once again, quickly. You can install in the morning, make it run in the morning, take to the dyno.
Do we have the Sportsman harness there?
Man, we have so many harnesses. I can't find it. I can't find it. There's too many harnesses here.
Okay. Try to find while I'm talking here. So the Sportsman harness actually is a complete harness that brings, like I mentioned before, it actually can control our engine, but mostly not focusing on the EFI. So let's see if Luis.
I can't find it here. I'm gonna try to take a look in a few, but like since I just grabbed those, I'm gonna talk a little bit about this. This is our Pro Series. Okay, so the Pro Series harness, I don't know if you guys notice right now, but like you can see the material changes. So the sleeving changes. Like this is higher grade, ready to go universal harnesses that were built to be installed on higher end vehicles. Let me say, it's not about how quick you run. It's just what kind of install you want to make on the car. So one of the major changes, obviously, just like we spoke, this sleeving, really nice material, fire retardant stuff. And they always have firewall connectors. So you don't need to actually drill a hole and go through. You actually drill a hole and bolt to the firewall. So this is for the most extreme vehicle that you want the safety of not having holes on that thing. So Pro Mod, right? Outlaw 10.5, X275, vehicles that you're pushing more fuel volumes, that you're pushing more power, the motor is more prone to failure. And this not just safer, allows you to do quicker removal. So if you need, for example, man, something happened right now, nitrous vehicle, something happened, it blew up the intake, it popped on the intake, I need to take my heads off. the harness don't have to be all messed up and disconnect. You can literally disconnect one and remove the whole intake with your harness still on the intake. Makes it easier to work on. So this in particular that I'm moving around here is actually a smart coil, okay, pro harness. As you can see, even the wire thickness go up, because we know if you run this thing, smart coils on this thing on a pro mod, you're gonna have like so long charge times, the dwell time, that you're gonna need thicker ones to draw all the current on the coils. Right here, same series, FT Spark, okay? Strongest ignition out there. The connector for the FT Spark, and the 2 branches of 4. This is a 8-cylinder version. We also have for 6 and single for distributor. Ready to go. Install really quick. Firewall connector. Everything is right here. Everything is really quick to install. Really nice living. And extra 8 injectors. So the Pro harness, Pro 550, Pro 600, it's a unit that comes with 8 injectors. Okay, it's for a V8. And it comes with 8 injectors. So if you run a nitrous car, or you run like a hybrid blower where you have EFI on the bottom, mechanical on the top, that's fine. But if you run 16 injectors, like huge amounts of fuel volume, then you can use this one to wire. Pretty simple, pretty quick. And again, you have firewall connector. So you need to take your blower out and you have 8 injectors on top of the blower. You don't need to disconnect each one of that thing, blah, blah, blah. You just like go on the firewall connector, twist it, unlock, and you remove the whole thing wire.
And I'm going to answer a few quick questions here.
Okay, let me see if I can find that harness, man, because like there's so many. Give me a second. Let me see if I can find this thing.
So, what harness should I use on a 4-cylinder with 8 injectors? And need to be a 550 to run that, if I understand correctly? Yes. So the 550 to run 8 injectors sequentially, you need that. But if you would still try to run a 450, you need to get with the only 10 outputs to run fuel injectors and ignition coils. So eventually you could still do on a 450, but very likely the 550 will be the best. So the 4-cylinder universal harness for the 550 actually run the 8 injectors and 4 coils and still have a bunch of outputs for that. So let me bring some a future request about that. I personally worked really I worked a lot on the eGate TurboSmart eGate development on the FuelTech feature, and that made me very proud because I really love this product. I really love how a eGate works on a turbo car. And the way the software is set up now, you can do actually a blow off or intake valve pipe on the intake valve on the intake pipe, because you can actually set up the eGate control in parallel with the regular wastegate control. So you can really have the electronic wastegate running as a pop-off valve. That's not going to be a limitation. And if you have any questions about that, just hit us on the call us on the tech support line, on the WhatsApp or email or even through the website chat. That we can definitely help on how to set up that. A lot of people are mentioning about it's cool to see some of the comments here helping each other about suggesting or offering products or offering harness or tuning. That's one of the best thing about our community. We truly believe that if we help the racer and each racer help each other, I mean, it really makes better and makes easier for everyone. So that's really cool. We feel like very proud that most of the FuelTech users and they proudly try to help the other users. So we also have a Facebook group that has, I believe, maybe 10 or 20,000 people in that group. That there's a great place to actually place questions, and there's a lot of people. Even our tech support guys always try to answer those questions, but it's very easy because we have more people actually trying to help you about that. So some of the questions, please add EGT output control. We do have a feature on the ECU that actually you have the max EGT, and can protect the engine and limit the engine. That's very, very already helpful. But definitely, we always looking for adding more stuff on the products. Since the topic was not really to go over the questions, and what this idea of having this live is one thing we're considering doing more often, and pick a specific topics to discuss and answering questions. I think if you guys enjoy and more people ask for that, we definitely will be maybe doing more often this kind of tools. So before too long, since we're already at 55 minutes of this live stream, let me share what will be going to be our good news for this live.
Yeah, our present.
Yeah. So every complete harness that is being sold or on the next 3 days, okay, this is a limited promotion, only 3 days, is going to be having a 10% off discount on the FuelTech products. So if you guys wanna wanna buy any of the harnesses we mentioned in this live today, you can go online, and where on the checkout you can actually add this code harness10 off, and you can get this discount. So this is actually what we were preparing to actually share with you guys as a gift. So Luis, do you have the harness there?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So there's so many harnesses. So it took me a while, but I figured this thing out. So this is a cool harness, okay? Like as you guys may know, so if you don't, you need to know. We have one badass bracket racer guy here at the company, Andre Nunes, and him and his brother have been really successful bracket racing. They also helped us trying to develop something like this. This is a plug and play harness for a 450 that does have an expansion for a 550, just like the other ones. Really simple. Again, really nice manual that has everything, all the branches, everything that you have. You can start. This is the basic one. O2s, 450, okay? Ignition control, the regular crank trigger that we found most of the time on those motors, like MSD sensors and stuff like that. That's the most popular ones, right? And no injectors, no multiple coils, okay? This is intended to be wired on a small dragster, on a bracket Camaro, something like that, that it's still carbureted. You still have a single ignition device or something like that, and you want this thing to run as your delay box, as your data logger, as your if you can traction control, your two-step control, all that stuff right there, really quick, really easy again to connect. It connects your 450. It connects one or two white bananas if there's a V8. If you only want to use one, it doesn't matter. But you also have expansion to be on a 550. I also have expansion to have individual coils. So you can run carburetors with individual coils. Like, honestly, you go and have a distributor. That was a great device for a long period of time. But today, it's actually a pain to keep up with the rotor phasing, cap, long wires going everywhere, single coil, putting a lot of stress on that coil. So this is also a great way to easily move away from distributor, keep your carburetor, because it runs great on carbs. You already know what that carb needs for whatever weather condition. So, like, honestly, nobody's pushing to go EFI because carburetors work pretty good. But the thing is, you can use the same electronic that can do EFI, but you don't have to. You can use that thing to manipulate your single nitro shot, wet shot, do your data logging, do your dashboard, do your delay box. So you manipulate your trans brake. Simple, quick, same perks that you guys see another one. This nice relay beauty infused LEDs on it. The same nice connector for the ECU, easy to change pins around. Different connectors here and there. Firewall connector, right? So you have that really easy you need to do some maintenance or something like that. It helps you a bunch. Easy to have changed pins. We use like really popular connectors, like WeatherPack and stuff, for your extra inputs. So more likely you guys already have pins, already have connectors on the trailer for this. And this is what we try to do. Harness that are affordable, easy to install, have everything that you guys need to run it, and you guys can easily customize here and there, and always having like a really nice manual. So like just like we spoke early, started this video, like take a look at the website, guys, fieldtech.net. We have sections for each product. Every product carries a really nice manual. We put like a lot of effort on the manual because we truly believe that everything should be easy to be handled by the user. And the harness are no different. So if you guys go to the harness section, every harness has a manual. And if there's any questions about it, we're more than happy to help you guys. Like tech support, it is the foundation of this company, and we're here for you guys. So like suggestions about harness, improvements on harness, we have, our ears wide open. Just like send us a message, an email, give us a call. Me and Anderson all the time at the track talking to people about this. We really enjoyed this time about being able to explain stuff and have this small conversation, let me say.
Yeah, and if you guys want some different applications, please leave in the comments, or like Luis mentioned, let us know, because we're definitely looking to improve and having the products that will make your life easier. As well, the features on the products, we came every couple months with a new update, incorporating for free new features, new updates. So this is something we're very looking for, improving better and better the product. So also don't if you need any tech support, any help, please ring us and call us, or like Luis mentioned, we'll be glad to help on that aspect. So I think that's it, right? The idea was today to present these two new additions to our complete harnesses, talk a little about how to wire, or even custom wire the harness, and give this special coupon, which is valid until Saturday midnight. So it's only 3 days, but this is exclusively for whoever was watching the live here. So it's not going to be something public.
Don't spread.
Yeah, this is our gift for who was watching. So we want to thank you, everyone. Hope you guys enjoy, and see you next time.
See you guys later.